The next question comes from Anna Rao, and it goes to Mr. Roots.
Speaking of wages and pay, Mr. Roots, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, women earn on average 70 cents for every dollar men earn. Studies have shown that occupation choice and education do explain some of this gap, but not all of it. About a third of that remains. The Paycheck Fairness Act, introduced in the Senate in April, seeks to correct this pay gap, but has failed to gain much traction. Do you believe a pay gap exists? And if so, what would you do about it?
A pay gap does not exist. You said that, you know, when you factor in, I forget the two factors that you factored in, that
Occupation and education level.
Occupation and education. Remember, men and women don't seek the same choices in college. Right here at Montana Tech, it's disproportionately males who seek careers and degrees in mining, engineering. Those are very well-paying jobs. Okay, disproportionately males go through those kinds of programs, architecture, engineering, those kinds of degrees, and they are more valuable on the marketplace. So she's absolutely right. That explains a good portion of the so-called gap between men and women. By the way, when you look at other factors, she didn't mention there are other factors. There's probably 20 factors. When you factor in every single one of them, women, for example, tend to seek jobs with more job security. Males will tend to take more jobs that are riskier, more dangerous, more physically dangerous to their health, for example. There is no gap between male and female wages. By the way, if there was a gap, you could make millions. A greedy capitalist could make millions just hiring more women and paying them less. Just think of how much money he could make. There is no gap. It doesn't exist.
Senator Walsh, your answer.
Well, I would disagree with Roger. I believe a pay gap does exist, and I do support the Paycheck Fairness Act because I believe that a woman and a man doing the same job should make the same wage. You know, I just had a granddaughter turn 1 year old, and I want to make sure that she has the same rights that her, you know, when she gets into the workforce, that the man working next to her has. So I'm going to continue to fight to make sure that women receive the same benefits, the same pay that a man does for doing the same type of work, because equality is very important to me, and I will continue to fight on their behalf.
Congressman Daines, your answer?
Well, I think about that question viewing it through the lens of a father. We have 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. And I'm the proud father of a recent graduate from Montana State University, my daughter Annie. And I tell you what, I want Annie making more than that guy that she might be working next to if she's got better skills and more experience. So I think it's very, very important here that we continue to fight for insurance, that we have fairness in the marketplace. But I want her to be making more because I'm a pretty proud dad, and she's a very experienced and skilled young lady as she's starting her career in public education. But it really begs another question, and that really is, how are we going to create more job opportunities ultimately here in Montana so that when our students graduate from our universities, when our young people graduate from trade schools, when they're leaving high school, ready to start in the workplace, we need to have a place for them to create a high-paying job here in Montana instead of sending them all over the country. So it really starts with more jobs, and that we accomplish that by pushing back on the growth of government.
Mr. Roots, your response.
A couple of economists that I will cite with regard to this question. One is named Thomas DeLorenzo, and the other is Walter Block. Both have done extensive economic research into this question of whether or not women and men really are paid, whether or not there is this gap and women are only paid 77 cents for whatever a man makes. And they find that when you factor in all of these things, and there's about 20 different factors, the gap disappears. It doesn't exist. And again, if it did exist, you could make millions. Just hire more women and pay them less. It doesn't exist.
Senator Walsh, your response.
Again, I support the Fair Pay Wage Act so that women make just as much as a man does, and I'm going to continue to fight while I'm serving in the United States Senate to ensure that we continue to move forward with that. While serving as the Lieutenant Governor with Governor Bullock, we put together a commission to work on that right here in the state of Montana. So I'm confident that we are making headway here in Montana, and I will fight for that same fairness in the United States Senate.
And Congressman Daines, your response?
Well, it's, tell you what, it was served back in Washington. One thing we need to see more of in D.C. is more women leaders. We need more women elected to the United States Senate. We need more women elected to the United States Congress. I'm proud to work with some amazing women on both sides of the aisle in the United States Congress. We need to make sure we create opportunities so they are able to not only achieve great things in the workplace, but also achieve great things in public service. And it's interesting, we got 3 men up here standing talking about this issue. I'd highly encourage getting more women engaged so we can see more women serving the United States Congress, both in the Senate and the House.